We're now listening to Wealthy Sistas Radio Show. We're now listening to Wealthy Sistas with Deborah Hartnett.
Well, great day, great morning, and happy Tuesday. I am Deborah Hartnett, your host. Welcome you to Wealthy Sistas Radio with a View. I am super excited, as you know I am every week. I have reason to be. You have reason to be. We are live, we're breathing. God got us here in our right mind. It is so much to be grateful for. And I am truly grateful for today's show and my guest that we're going to have on today. Woo, wait, now, I don't know if I'm dating myself, but when I tell you, I've been knowing her over 30 years. I mean, what a privilege to grow up in Atlanta, back in the Atlanta days. I'm sorry, Atlanta's great today, but it's just not the same Atlanta. I mean, there was a special time, a special place to grow up in a special high school that we both attended, and I just admired her so much. She was upperclassman, but she was always so kind. But before I share the incredible guest that we have with us today, I just want to remind everyone, our purpose here at Wealthy Sistas Radio with a View is to provide you with two things. First, well, several things, but it's a twofold purpose, shall I say. We want to make sure that we provide inspiration and encouragement to you so that you can see these talented, super fabulous sisters that we have on our show, and brothers too, that you can be inspired by their lives and encourage you to do other things that you might been wanting to do. Maybe sometimes you just need that extra little nudge, and it's nothing like having a visual and being able to hear and learn from other stories. The other thing is we want to make sure that you get that practical knowledge right now that you can apply to your life right now and to your business to have a positive impact. And the second purpose is to make sure that we provide a platform that we can showcase the multi-talented, multi-dimensional sisters and celebrate them and say thank you for doing the great big things that they're doing. So speaking of big things, my sister that I have on today, you know I'm a visual person. Let me just let you see this beautiful thing. That's right. She's none other than Melissa L. George of Melissa L. George Associates. She has more than 25 years, guys, in financial strategic, shall I say, financial planning. She's a CFF, CFS, along with a DBE, MBE. When I tell you she has a whole list of certifications, you know we only bring documented folk on this show, right? So you need to get out your paper, your pencils, your pens, your recording devices. You want to learn from her today. And one of her areas of expertise are benefits, right? She helps design benefit packages for companies, not just major corporations, but she also has a heart to help small business owners too. So without any further delay, it is my privilege and honor to present to you today none other than Melissa L. George. Yay! Welcome.
Well, thank you, Deborah. That introduction was awesome, and I will tell you that your check is in the mail.
Just take me on the road with you, sister. Well, how are you this glorious day, Melissa?
I am well. I am so well. Thank you for asking. God is good.
Yes, he is.
The year is really starting off with a bang, and so I was really excited about being on here today, especially to talk about the topic that we're going to talk about today. Because as I've been traveling a lot during COVID, and have really talked with a lot of small business owners, and they're having the same issues that the large business owners are having, and that's attracting and retaining employees, which turns right around to the subject we're going to talk about today, which is benefits. So I'm excited.
Exactly. Benefits. What's the benefits? I can think of all types of songs, right, that I was singing. And what's that song like? Ain't nothing going on but the rent. know what they were talking about until I got older. What are the benefits? So, you know, you can think of all types of songs, but we are going to have fun talking about benefits today. And I'm super excited to let employers know, business owners know. And when I say business owners, don't eliminate yourself from this. If you have 3 employees, and there are even other ways that we can help as well, I know that you'll share, but this is for people from small to large to medium-sized businesses as well, that I know you're going to be able to help today. But before we get into that, I did kind of allude to a little bit of your background, being that we, you know, were able to attend high school together. But if you don't mind, you know, we always like to say here at Wealthy Sisters, our audience wants to know a little bit about you. I like to say those ingredients that went into this beautiful recipe that we see today. So if you don't mind sharing with us a little bit about your background and how you got started on this journey.
Well, it is an interesting story. I was born in Queens, and so I was born in Apple, but I grew up a peach. So I have been in Atlanta since I was 5. So Atlanta is home. So I grew up here, and as you mentioned, we both attended Northside High School, which does not exist anymore. But yes, I must agree, it was a very special time. And of course, Northside was a performing arts high school, and they also had a college track there as well. And so I attended there. And then I went to Georgia State. And I was,
and we also, my alma mater as well.
Georgia State. I was like a lot of college students, just, you know, didn't have money and just kind of struggled through. It took me actually 9 years to put myself through college, but I did. I completed college. And actually, I was working in retail. And I won't go through all the stores. I know it's kind of an interesting story, but I was actually working at Victoria's Secret as a store manager. And I ran the underground store during the Olympics.
Oh, wow.
And I was always trying to teach my full-time employees to get into the 401k. It's just like I really love talking about money and investing and things of that nature. And at the time, I really didn't know what a financial planner was. So the way that it kind of happened is I got to know the mall manager at Underground Atlanta, and then he ended up moving to Perimeter. He was managing the Perimeter Mall area. And I ended up going to speak with him, and I said, hey, you know, I have an idea of kind of what I want to do. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what you call it. I said, I just know I want to do something with money and investments. And at the time, I had been interviewing for and looking at things in the paper. When people used to search for jobs in the paper, it was back
right.
And you would go to
it wasn't that far long.
No, you would go to Kinko's and print out a resume and all that. But I was applying to anything that said banking or investments or insurance. I just really did not know what a financial planner was. And he said, I want to introduce you to somebody. And he introduced me to a woman who was a financial planner, and she was a wealthy sister. What was awesome about meeting her is I was able to ask her the types of questions that you generally don't ask in an interview. But I was like, what does your week look like? What kind of money are you making? You know, how do you get your clients? Those kinds of things. And it ended up that I end up working at her firm, and she ended up mentoring me for the first 6 years of my career in financial planning. So it was awesome. And so that's kind of how it all started.
Wow, what an incredible story. And again, like I said earlier, it's important to have those images. It's important to have those role models, yes. Which is why, you know, you just validated why it's so important for us to continue to do what we do here at Wealthy Sisters. Because could you imagine what your path would be like today if you didn't have someone that you could relate to, that mentored you, that took the time to explain to you, because you could get theory all day, right?
Right.
But being around someone that's actually doing it, seeing it, you know, I can imagine.
To your point, I'm not even sure if I would be in this industry, because she was the only Black female at that firm at that time. So when I came on, I was the second. And even here, 25 years later, being in a white male-dominated world, there are many times when I'm going to different types of conferences and seminars and things of that nature, and I'm still the only Black female in the room. So that hasn't changed a whole lot. But, you know, just having her to kind of coach me along did give me a level of confidence that I really needed early on, particularly because I know a lot for our community, a lot of us are not taught about money and financial literacy and things of that nature. So I was coming in and learning something that I had not been taught from my parents. My parents weren't well abreast of these types of topics. And so I was learning and trying to share that information with clients at the same time. So I really felt like I was a client of my own teachings as well. So yes.
Now, just before we get into the topic, there might be someone that's kind of where you were working, retail, whatever other industry, and there today, with the pandemic, a lot of people have been able to take this time to reflect and do paradigm shifts in their careers and
Yes.
and how they want to contribute to the world, and really realizing these things. So there might be somebody that's in that same position that you were. What would you say to them? What are some of the first steps, and are you able to mentor as well?
Yeah, I would like to. I'm very proud that I have mentored some people over the years, and not just necessarily people that are coming into the industry, but people that are in the industry but are maybe wanting to shift, because financial services is a very broad area. I mean, you're talking about everything from insurance agents to banks to financial planners to investment brokers. I mean, it's very, very broad, and we all don't do exactly the same thing. So what I would say to someone that's interested is they need to talk with several people in this industry to kind of fine tune or kind of narrow down the track that they want to go. And there's lots of ways to do it. Some people come into the industry, they're 100% commission. Some companies they may go to, they may give them a stipend or a small salary to kind of get them up and running. Or they may just go into an area where they're just like a W-2 employee, and maybe they're doing back office support. Maybe they're not necessarily doing a financial planner, but maybe they're a junior advisor. Maybe they're someone that's doing data entry. There's so many things that they can do in this industry. So it just depends on trying to really figure out what exactly it is that they want to do. And that will really start with having some of those conversations with people that are doing it or people that can kind of direct them to help them kind of narrow that down.
I think that's exactly what you said. I mean, for myself, I've been licensed now since '08. It's insurance license, and it was someone that I knew that was telling me about at the time the Medicare Advantage. Was before all of the rules that there are today.
Yeah.
It was like the gold rush. That's like, girl, we're making 40 grand a month. Get your license. I said, oh, what? Okay. And I had sense enough, thank God he gave me the wisdom, because it didn't come from me, to maintain my license throughout.
Absolutely.
And it's just been one of the best things for me to be able to do. And so I welcome, I share with everyone. I mean, look, you're in between trying to figure some things out.
Oh my gosh.
It's one of the best certifications and licenses that you can get,
You always work with an insurance license. And I have had friends that have lost jobs and have gotten insurance license, and they have decided that they will maintain those licenses forever, because for one, it can be supplemental income, or if you're in between jobs, you can always make money with an insurance license. Absolutely.
Right.
And insurance is not sexy, but it does pay the bills.
It does. And then some, for people who really, really have been like yourselves, who, recognize the real opportunities in it, in building residual income, which is something that is not taught, enough in business. Wherever we're looking, we should always be looking on ways to build that residual money that keeps coming when you are not working, right? Yeah, because you're not going to always want to have to stand over someone's head. You're not going to always have to go out there. Even a doctor, right, they need to figure out how to have residual. They make a lot of money, but if they're not doing that surgery, they're not making money, right? But insurance, financial planning, does give you that opportunity. So, you know what? I tell you, this is a great, great opportunity right now when we talk about information. Just to go into briefly another platform that I want to share with everyone, just to let them know that Wealthy Sisters is on blackusa.news. You can find us there. Yes, I want you to go to that website, blackusa.news. My brother, Donnie Glover, out of Be More, has put together this incredible platform, and he's been doing this for a long time. 30 plus years. Yes, trust me on that. He was one of the first ones that's been talking about the Black Wall Street. He does the annual Black Wall Street Awards, but he has content on there anywhere from business information to politics to, just local information. Different major cities are represented. So definitely you want to check out Black USA. All right, so we're back here with none other than Melissa L. George of Melissa L. George and Associates, and she's going to talk to us today about how can an employer offer benefits to their employees at no cost.
Awesome. So let me give you a little backdrop before I talk about that, Deborah, because one of the things that has really happened, particularly because of COVID, all that money that came out into the hands of people between unemployment, between PPP, the PUA, the subsidy that they added on, there was a lot of money that came out to people. And for a lot of workers, they were making more money on unemployment than they were working. Obviously, that posed a challenge for employers because you still got work to do, right?
Right.
And even though that for most people, the unemployment has expired, they're past their time that they can still be in unemployment, there's still a large gap in terms of attracting and retaining employees. And you may have heard over the last 6 to 12 months that employers are having to raise their rates in order to be more competitive. Because if somebody's offering another 50 cents an hour down the street, they're person's out the door, right?
You're right.
But one of the things that employees are looking for, their compensation is not just wages. A lot of employees are looking for more than just wages. They're looking for things that are going to help benefit them and their families, especially people that have children. Sometimes people have, they may have elderly people at their home. They may be what I call the sandwich generation, where there's you and your parents and your children, and you're kind of in the middle, and you're the breadwinner. And so a lot of people are looking for more than just, I just want a big paycheck. They're looking for benefits. But for small employers, they may not necessarily have the resources, especially if you just had to pay people more money to get them in the door to work. And on top of that, they want benefits. So this is a great topic to talk about. How can they offer benefits at no cost? So I am going to mention this name once during this presentation, and then I'm not going to mention it anymore. But this is the name that has name recognition, and that's Aflac. Everybody has heard of Aflac. Everybody knows about the duck.
Okay.
First, I want to say that Aflac is not the only company that does voluntary benefits. They're not the only one. There's many.
Right.
Colonial Life, not Colonial Penn, but Colonial Life. And then a lot of other companies are getting into the voluntary benefit space. But voluntary benefits is an area, and sometimes also called supplemental benefits, when an employer can offer additional benefits to their employees, and it can be 100% employee paid. So this is an area where they can expand what they're offering to their employees, and it doesn't cost them anything out of their pocket. As long as they're willing to either have it payroll deducted, or in some cases, it doesn't even have to be payroll deducted. There are ways that you can set it up where the employees can have those premiums can be deducted from their checking or savings account. It's a great way for employers to say, hey, here's a benefit menu that I'm able to provide for you that a lot of small companies don't provide at all, and it doesn't hit their bottom line. It's a great way for them to do that for their employees.
I'm so happy that you brought that up. I when I first learned about it years ago, it really didn't hit me like it has now.
Yeah.
But the fact that, and I want the audience to catch this, the fact that you can be a small business owner, a salon, you have a restaurant, wings stand, you know what I'm saying? You have a accounting firm, small firm.
Right.
You don't provide benefits. I've got one colleague he has a mechanic shop. He doesn't provide benefits. but now he can.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the reason why don't they provide benefits? I mean, you hear people complaining. Is it easy to provide benefits to employees today?
Well, I think when people think about benefits, the first thing that comes
Mm-hmm.
to mind is health insurance, right? And so health
Mm-hmm.
insurance is expensive. And if an employer is
Mm-hmm.
offering health insurance, they have to pay
Mm-hmm.
50% of the premium. So that's hitting their bottom line right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about a small business, and let's kind of define a small business, I think you said it a little bit earlier. It doesn't have to be
Mm-hmm.
somebody with 25 employees, it could be three
Mm-hmm.
employees.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, a lot of times people that go out and become entrepreneurs, they don't even think of themselves as an employee. But yes,
Yes.
I am an employee of my company. You're an employee of your company. So it's an area where I just think that most people don't know. They don't know what's available, right? They don't
Mm-hmm.
know, where they're
Mm-hmm.
thinking, oh, if I offer that, that's going to cost me either financially, it's going to cost me in human resource hours, it's going to cost me in some type of way. But it
Mm-hmm.
really doesn't. What it really does is it adds value. When you think about the types of businesses that are out there, one of the main type of voluntary benefits that's available is is an accident plan, accident insurance. Well, a lot of these types of companies that you just named, like a mechanic shop or a restaurant, these are places where
Right.
people slip and fall, right? And
All the
so
time.
so you have,
Right.
somebody has an accident, and then you're talking about if it was on the job. Now you're talking about workers' comp claim, or if it would happen off the job. Maybe they were traveling or visiting someplace. But here's one of the things that does really help from the employer standpoint. When there are no benefits in place, and an employee either gets sick or gets injured, usually what the first thing they do is they come to the employer and say, can I have an advance on my salary, or advance on
Wow.
my wages, right?
Right.
And so now, if the employer has the wherewithal to do that, so they're making advance loans to their employees, and then they have to keep up from the accounting standpoint of how to collect those monies back. Voluntary benefits keeps the employer out of the banking business, because they'll have their own policy that's going to pay them for that accident or pay them for that sickness. And that money is going to come directly to them. And guess what? For the employee, in many cases, they don't have to pay tax on those dollars either. So it's really kind of a win-win. But again, most employers are just not aware. They're just not aware of what's available.
So, and that another thing that comes to my mind, is you talk about the accidents, and you said off job too. I've seen where this can be a benefit to those who, people do it. They are working in the yard on Saturday, and they have some type of accident, twist their ankle, and they make it into work on Monday, and it's an accident at work because they need to cover it. I mean, people,
Right.
we talking real, as they say, real talk, real
Real
talk,
talk.
real talk. So, and this is a way to help eliminate that as well. Those
Yes.
workman comp claims that happen.
Right. And it's so true, Deborah. When you think about, accidents can happen anywhere. There's no medical underwriting, for someone in terms of whether or not they're going to have an accident or not. But just think about the larger picture. When you're thinking about an accident plan, most employees, they can cover themselves, their spouse, all of their children under the age of 26. So think about that.
Wow.
You got a little boy, and he's playing t-ball. You got the little girl, and she's taking ballet lessons or gymnastics for the first time. You have your college student, that's off on campus, and has a car that may potentially get into a car accident. All of these are situations where they can be covered under the same accident plan. So this is an area where an employee can have 24/7 coverage, and it doesn't matter where they are. If they're on the job, great, it's covered. If they're off the job, great, it's covered. If they're traveling on the other side of the planet, they're in Europe somewhere, and they have an accident, it's covered. It's
It's
covered. So
covered.
it's huge. So no, they don't have to conveniently have that accident again on the job and try to have workers comp. And that's the other thing. Most people don't realize that there's a high percentage of workers comp claims that are denied.
That are denied.
That are denied. So
Wow.
this just gives you more flexibility. The other thing about most voluntary benefits is, let's say the employee has vacation time or sick time or PTO or comp time. This pays over and above that. It doesn't coordinate benefits. So if the employee has some sick time and they're taking off 5 days or 10 days, and they have an accident plan, it's going to pay in addition to that. So it's going to help them with those out-of-pocket costs that may come from the doctor's office visit, or maybe they had to go get crutches or a cast, or the lost wages. Maybe they don't have any time at work. So it's really a huge benefit.
It is. So for an employee, now you say this is not going to cost the employer. It doesn't have to cost the employer anything. But you mentioned before, I heard you say that some employers have paid some of the premiums because there's a savings to the employer in the long run. So can you kind of elaborate to that fact, please?
So here's what happens when the employee signs up for voluntary benefits. And in a minute, I'll kind of go through the different types of benefits that are available. When they sign up for that, the employer has the option of letting that employee either pre-tax or post-tax the premium, right?
Okay.
So think about it. When they pre-tax the premium, the employee is able to have that. Let's just say the premium is $10.
Okay.
Make it simple. Let's say that, let's say they make $100 this week, and that $10 comes out first. The employee is only paying tax on the remaining $90. But for the employer is saving money as well, because they don't have to match FICA on that $10. So it actually saves the employer money as well. So really, offering voluntary benefits is a way for an employer to contain costs. They can actually reduce the amount of taxes that they're paying for that half of FICA that they're responsible for each employee.
For each employee. Now, you said something like $10, and most people probably would think, oh, she just used that as an example. But because the employer is not paying, does not have to pay this, so it is no cost to the employer. You said the employees assume the cost, but how is it still astronomically priced, or is it because it's a group that they're able to get group rates or what have you, or how does that work?
So they are able to, there are economies of scale, obviously, when you're working within a group, and employees do have the benefit of really customizing something that's affordable for them. They would be really, most people really be surprised, depending on the type of voluntary benefit plan that they select. Some of those rates can be as low as $2, but then yes, they can cover the range. They can maybe be as high as $50 or $60 per pay period. So it really depends on what their needs are. One of the things that's great about supplemental benefits is each employee can really build out something that really fits for their particular family. So say, for example, like I mentioned before, if you have a family that has spouse and children, or there's a lot of single parent families, so there's no spouse, but there's children, right? Having a plan, most of the voluntary benefits will cover children, and it doesn't matter how many children they have. Sometimes it's the same rate. So one child will be the same rate as 5 children.
Okay.
It might be the same rate. In other instances where maybe there's somebody that has maybe cancer runs in their family, and that's just a big concern for them, is what would happen if I'm diagnosed with cancer. Well, cancer is a supplemental benefit, and it will pay everything from cancer screenings to radiation to chemo to housing to lodging to it covers a lot of different things. And so employees and employers are really able to look and say, hey, we have a lot here to offer. You have accident plans, which I kind of talked about a little bit already. You have the cancer plan. There's a critical illness plan that's available that will cover catastrophic things like heart attack, stroke, kidney failure, major organ transplant. There's a hospital confinement plan. So think about it. When somebody has to go into the hospital and they have a surgery, or they're having some type of test, usually the first thing they have is some large deductible, right? There's some large amount of money that that's going to come out of their pocket. And most people don't have $2,500 or $5,000 sitting in their savings account.
Right.
Well, there's a hospital plan that can offset that high deductible. So there's a hospital confinement plan. There's also life insurance. Even some employers that let's say they have a health insurance plan, and they may have a little bit of life insurance that would cover them, maybe $10,000. Deborah, you and I both know $10,000 is not going to be enough.
No,
it's not going to be enough, especially if there's the family involved. So they have the ability to purchase additional life insurance. And here's the kicker, Deborah. Most of these benefits are portable. So when the employee leaves that job, they can take those benefits with them, and usually at the same price.
Retired, fired, or expired. Right?
Exactly.
Take it. Yeah, that's when you talk about that, the insurance, the life insurance
Yes.
piece. A lot of people today, especially after COVID, I mean, a lot of companies are adjusting who they accept. I mean, trying to get people through underwriting can be a real challenge.
Yes.
And here, I know they offer something called guaranteed issue. In most cases, guaranteed issue, I know you see the Colonial Pens and all these other, they have to wait. There's a waiting period before, if they get 10,000, it's 2 years or sometimes 3 years before that full 10,000 is available, right? So that means that person has to live at least 3 years before their family could get the full 10,000.
That's correct.
But what I love about this is the guaranteed portion. So can you kind of elaborate on how that works?
So several of the voluntary benefits that I just mentioned do come with guaranteed issue. And what guaranteed issue means is no health questions. It doesn't matter the health of the person. They could be overweight. They could have high blood pressure, diabetes. They could be HIV positive. They would be covered.
That's huge.
That's
Right.
absolutely huge.
Yes,
So
yes.
they could have lupus. So guaranteed issue, it may not be a large amount, but what it would be is an amount that they could start with that is guaranteed issue, and it's particularly on the life insurance, they have something called guaranteed purchase option, or sometimes we call it GPO. It will allow them in the future the ability to increase their life insurance again with no medical questions. That's huge for somebody that maybe is uninsurable right now. I mean, a lot of times you hear about people having to go and get a job so that they can be covered. So this is an area where somebody that doesn't have life insurance can actually get some coverage through the employer, even if they're what we call someone that's unhealthy or not
Or uninsurable.
right, the standard of health.
Right.
And be able to take that policy with them, as you said. What was it? Retired,
Retired, fired, or expired.
they'd be able to take that policy with them. Yes.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And another thing I know you kind of alluded to there with being, if someone has, God forbid, the heart attacks or they've got the cancer, you mentioned they might need crutches, what have you, whatever. This money that they are getting, these voluntary benefits, pays cash. Do they have to pay that to the hospital, or is that paid to Tanya Smith, the person?
It's paid to Tanya Smith. And Tanya Smith, whatever she wants to do with that money. If Tanya Smith wants to go out and get her a Kate Spade handbag, I hope that she wouldn't do that, but she absolutely can do that. So
Right.
those monies are paid directly to the employee. They decide how they want to use those monies. If they're going to take that money and then pay it to their insurance provider or their healthcare provider, absolutely they can do that. But in many cases, think about it. When you just mentioned about critical illness, if somebody has a heart attack or stroke, maybe they need to do some rehabilitation to their home. Maybe they need a ramp. Maybe they need to modify certain pieces of their home so that that person can still maneuver in their own home. Well, the thing about critical illness, it pays a lump sum. And it starts at $5,000 and it can go up to $75,000. Well, wouldn't that be awesome if you had something like that happen to you or your loved one, and now here's $20,000 and you have the money that you need to add that ramp, or to get a certain type of bed that you might need in the house, or a motorized wheelchair. So those monies come directly to the employee. They can spend it however they see fit.
And you see stories all the time, and they've been trying to change things. I know, I guess with credit and all of that, I guess medical bills, are not, you probably know more about it than I, are not allowed to be in collections or something. I don't know. I don't want to misspeak on that. Okay. But a lot of times people get into financial difficulties because of being an illness. whether it's theirs or it's a loved one's illness. So having something like this to help pay that mortgage,
Oh, yeah.
right? So is that like a form of a disability in there as well? Because we
There
talked
is.
about the accident piece.
I'm glad you
in
mentioned
the-
that, Ms. Deborah. I actually forgot to mention disability, and disability is really one of the most important voluntary benefits that it is, because it's what we call paycheck protection. And when you think about the asset of every individual, one of their main assets is their ability to go out and earn income to pay the bills, to take care of their families. But yes, we do offer disability. So think about it. If you're unable to work for accident or sickness, and you may have sick time or vacation leave, but you may not, this will pay over and above that. And one of the things that's really, really nice about this, Deborah, and this is, I know that probably the most of your audience is women, they would love to hear this. It covers pregnancy. Our disability, or most disability plans, I'm not promoting any one particular, I'll be careful, but most of those plans, some of the companies, they do cover pregnancy as a disability. So think about it. You know that when a woman goes out on leave, either she has a traditional birth or a cesarean birth. So she may be out for 6 to 8 weeks. Most of these companies will consider that a disability, and it will pay in addition to whatever cover she already has. But you often know that a lot of women end up going out early on bed rest.
Right.
Be having some types of complications and things of that nature.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. So from the time that they have to go on bed rest up until the time that they deliver, oftentimes that can be covered under their disability, plus the 6 to 8 weeks after delivery. And if for some reason the doctor thinks that they need to still be out even longer, again, a doctor would have to sign off on that. They may even extend that a little bit further, because I know women have different issues, whether it be something physical or postpartum or whatever the case may be. But disability is a huge voluntary benefit that's available.
That is huge. I mean, my situation, I was on bed rest 6 weeks. Shout out to Piedmont Hospital nurses. And our daughter was 5 weeks in the hospital.
Wow.
You know, so you have someone, a preemie, that parent it's hard to go back to work, you know, with your child being in a hospital like that. So that's, I mean, so many, I wish that I knew about it, you know, then, thank God, almost 19 years ago now. But, you know, that's why I'm excited to have you on. If you are just tuning in, this is none other than Deborah Hartnett, your host of Wealthy Sistas Radio with a View. And our very special guest, and I do mean very special, is Melissa L. George. She is thebomb.com, as they say. But she is a certified financial planner. She is, well, let me just say it like this, CFF, CFS, and a whole list of certifications. But we're talking today about how you too, as a small business owner, medium-sized, large-size business owner, and provide employee benefits at no cost, right? Because today is important about attracting and retaining employees. It's very competitive out there. Very competitive. And these are ways that we can do that as well. Here at Wealthy Sistas, you know, we want to provide you with practical information and provide you the best. And I just want to remind you, Wealthy Sistas, this is the book here that you want to be able to find on Amazon. Wealthy Sistas, powerful personal stories proving that you can do it too. We're all about encouragement, inspiration, and what better way to learn about some of the incredible women in here, like we have featured on our show today with Melissa George. And one in particular I'll mention, I mean, I could just go on and on, but you can learn from here, this beautiful sister, Alelia Bundles. You would, if you don't know who she is the great, I think it's 3 greats, granddaughter of Madam C.J. Walker. I mean, everybody knows who Madam C.J. Walker is, right? Or you can learn from our sister Robin Wilson. We had her on the show here a couple of weeks ago. Robin Wilson, she actually was on the first show of our relaunch of Wealthy Sisters. Robin Wilson, she's been around forever, but she just signed a deal to have her own line of mattresses. Okay. Oh, yeah. So again, go to wealthysisters.com, or you can go to Amazon and get this book right here today. So, Melissa, as we were talking about the importance of being able to provide benefits to your employees. Now, we kind of alluded to some companies may not offer benefits, right? So how is this going to be attractive to why would a business owner, small business owner, why would they find value in this for them to provide to? Did you understand my question?
So several reasons. Obviously, we know that the first thing that employees are looking for is wages. Outside of wages, after wages, employees are looking for benefits. I mean, there have been studies that have been done, there have been surveys that probably 70-80% of employees are looking for more than just wages because they have families to take care of, and wages isn't everything, right? So you're looking to really transfer some of that risk of accidents or sicknesses and things of that nature onto an insurance company, and to have some additional support when you do have a sickness or an illness to help you pay for those out-of-pocket costs, because even with the best health insurance, it doesn't cover every single thing. And for the employer, it's really important because the employer wants a healthy workforce, right? They want their employees to feel engaged and to want to show up to work and to feel motivated. And it also shows that they care about that employee. But, I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning of our interview today, Deborah, and talk about keeping that employer out of the banking business. When an employee already has, if they have an accident plan or disability and something happens, they're not having to come to the employer and say, hey, is there any way I could get an advance on my check? They already have the monies that are coming directly to them from the supplemental insurance company that's going to help them pay for the things that they need to do, right? And so that's really a lot of weight off of an employer. Because the other thing is, I'm sure a lot of employers will tell you that they have done advances, cash advances for the employees. Sometimes that money never comes back.
I'm going to say, the employee, you might not see them anymore.
Right, exactly. And what I've really seen a lot of lately is in terms of employers trying to attract and retain employees. You all know that when people are unemployed, they have to kind of have a track record of places that they've gone and they've looked for work and so on and so forth. What I've been seeing a lot of lately is employees starting at a company, working a week, and then just not ever showing up again. And so it's part of their strategy. I tried, I went here, I worked, it didn't work out, I didn't like it, whatever the case may be, and then they're right back on unemployment again. And so think about it from the standpoint of an employer who is, it's kind of this revolving door. Or they come and they're there, and the employee comes and they work there and it's great, but right down the street they're either offering 25 cents or 50 cents more per hour, or maybe the rate is exactly the same, but down the street they're offering benefits in addition to wages. So there's a lot of different pluses from an employer standpoint, and let's not forget, I talked about cost containment. If they are able to offer those benefits and they decide to do it on a pre-tax basis, that is going to save the employer on FICA taxes for every single employee that's participating. So that's huge. That's huge.
That is, and a lot of times I know as small business owners, we are focused on the actual what we're here for, and all the other stuff, can just kind of goes by the wayside. And it's like you feel like you're just continuously playing catch up. But this is something, especially if you have employees that are interacting with the public, that they are the face of your business, right? And you said something very key, that you want to provide an environment that your employees feel happy, that they want to come to work. And I think that a lot of times that's something that's not addressed as far as the workplace environment. How you're like, look at some of the masters at it. The first company that comes to my mind, you can name one, but I'm gonna say Chick-fil-A.
Oh,
you know,
yes, yes, yes.
Chick-fil-A, I'll say Costco's, right? You go in these Costco's, you see on their name badge, they have how many years they've been, and you have people who've been working there decades, right?
Yes.
Why is that? Of the store when I lived in the DMV, Wegmans. I don't know if you know about
I've
Wegmans. You're
heard of
from New
Wegmans.
York. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. You know, people love working for Wegmans. Or why? So why can't you have a small? There is a ice cream place called Double Scoop
Hmm.
out in the Atlanta area. It's in the Stonecrest area, and they have the best employees there. They you know they make you feel because they have all these different flavors of ice cream. And we take our girls there. It's like it's an act of Congress to decide on what they want. But they make you feel so, you know, they're so patient, and you're just not used to getting that experience a lot of places. You know, this is the employees make you feel like you're bothering them. They're on the phone or, you know. So I think this is something that businesses really need to look at, what type of environment they have for their employees to make them represent your company well.
Yeah, and I want to add this too, Deborah. Depending upon the type of company that they have, I was in Michigan last week, and one of the clients that I went to see was a manufacturing company. So they have a lot of people that are on the assembly line, if you will. And if you think about it, in that type of business, nobody gets paid if that person that's on the line is not
Right.
healthy enough to work or not
Wow.
happy enough to come to work. So there's really been almost kind of a shift where a lot of times employers are maybe trying to do something extra for maybe their executives. And don't get me wrong, nothing wrong with that. But I'm now starting to see a shift where employers are really making more of a focus on the rank and file employees, the people that at the end of the
They
day
do today.
they are doing the work that is bringing
Right.
in that top line, the revenue,
Right. Right.
gross
Right.
revenue. So there's really kind of a shift in terms of, where our focus is in terms of, our workforce. And it's really more on the just your everyday employee. Your everyday employee, it's really important to think about, what is going to be beneficial for them.
I remember when I worked with Delta as a flight attendant, and that they used to tell us in the training, and then I started saying that when I went into training, like we are the event. This is the sole purpose. The sole purpose here is like your interaction with this customer is the sole purpose of why we're here. You're it, and if that interaction does not go well, then that's going to be the memory that that person has from there. Yeah, that's so important. And so also when we talk about, and I know, like I said, this time is going by so fast, but when we talk about what, as far as business owners and companies that already have benefits in place. I know
Yes.
we've talked a
Yes.
lot about those, or maybe trying to really, because I really want small business owners to get this and make leverage this for themselves. But as a person or company that already has health benefits in
Yes.
place, why would they need this? Like what? I mean, how could this really fit? You've talked about the
Yep.
tax savings. Maybe that's not enough to
Okay.
convince them to take the time
So this is
to provide this.
That's an excellent question, and I'm going to tell you why. And this is even something that I would really look at even before COVID. So you have companies that have health insurance already. So the employer is subsidizing. Usually they're required 50%, but I've seen some employers that are paying more than 50% of the health insurance premiums. But
Okay.
then they get the renewals. And based upon the history of that group, meaning the number of claims that they've had, especially if they have an older workforce or a more female workforce, and females are the ones that have the babies and things of that nature, the rates have gone up considerably. Those rates have gone up considerably. And so a lot of employers have found themselves in a situation in order to keep the rates down for the portion that they're paying as well as the employee, they've had to increase the deductible. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So now you went
Uh-huh.
from a $2,500 deductible, but now you got to look at a $5,000 deductible, or even more, some as high as 10,000. Well, think about that. That's
Oh.
if somebody needs a surgery, before they needed $2,500 deductible plus their co-insurance. Now they need $5,000 for co-insurance. So let me tell you where voluntary benefits really has come into play. I mentioned earlier, I talked about that hospital confinement plan. One of the great things about that plan is it pays a lump sum if someone has to go into the hospital and they're there at least 20 hours, which would be hence a surgery. It can offset that cost. And so one of the strategies that I've put in place for some employers is, and some of them haven't gone to the higher deductible, but if we could show them where it's okay, go ahead and go to the higher deductible and see how much you're saving in terms of that premium. A lot of employers have said, based upon that, they'd be willing to pay for that hospital confinement plan for each employee, and they're still saving more money than they were paying previously.
Wow.
And what it does is
Raising deductible
raise the
and it's
deductible,
uh-huh.
yes, and then
Okay.
add the hospital confinement plan, so that if the
Uh-huh.
employee does have to have a surgery, they would have four, five, $6,000 that's going to pay them in a lump sum that would allow them to pay that deductible that they need to pay. It's a great strategy, and it's one that we actually can run the numbers for an employer and see if it makes
Okay.
sense for them.
And also too, I know that, businesses, they may have the HR person in place, but like when you're getting voluntary benefits, maybe they are afraid to add on or take on something else, another level of responsibility. Is it something in place to help them with that as well?
There is. Most of the companies that do provide supplemental benefits have excellent support. They usually have an employer portal where they can log in. Everything can be managed right there on site, and especially in terms of new employees that they onboard or people that are termed. They usually have a billing specialist that's specifically assigned to that group. So if they have any issues, so it's really not as daunting or as difficult as it may seem initially. But at the end of the day, the whole purpose of it, as you said, is for the benefit of the employees and the business, right? So if we're taking care of them, who would not want to spend a little extra time or a little extra effort to make sure that we have a thriving workforce?
That's true. That's true. Well, I tell you what, it's the hour. I can't. I mean, really, I understand what they used to say. I used to hear my mother and grandmother say, time waits for no one. It just goes by so fast. It's like you just want to capture it.
Yeah.
I've definitely enjoyed our time here today. You've shared a wealth of information for our audience. I do want them to be able to reach out to you because although you're not mentioning any particular company, we're talking about your company, Melissa L. George and Associates. We know that you, through your expertise and you have done your due diligence, and you can put them in contact. You can link them with excellent companies that can help them. So I want them to be able to get your information. I have your website, Melissa L. George. What a perfect name. MelissaLGeorge.com. Right?
Yes.
And is there any other way you would like them to be able to reach out to you? Are you on social media? Can they find you there?
Yes. So I am on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on pretty much most of them. But I will say, if they go to MelissaLGeorge.com, everything that they need is going to be there. My phone number is there. My email is there. My calendar is there. And people do have the ability to click on my calendar. They can book a free 15-minute phone call.
Okay.
They can book a Zoom. They can book a face-to-face if they happen to be in the Metro Atlanta area. So everything that they need is going to be right there on the website. And I do certainly hope that people will reach out to me. And when they do that, there's a section that says, "How did you hear about me?" And I hope I see something that says Wealthy Sisters.
I do too, because we want to make sure that they're getting the information as well, and definitely it just warms my heart when I mean, literally, like I said, we started 2009, straight 7 years nonstop. And even to this day, I have had people say, you know what? I learned about you. Someone called me from an interview that, hey, I was on Wealthy Sisters. So, I mean, that makes me say, okay,
Awesome.
my purpose is being fulfilled there. Yes, indeed. Well, what would be, I guess, the final thoughts that you would leave with our audience today, Melissa, on with talking about employee benefits at no cost to the employers? Also, you do provide other benefits, like they can come and get. You could design a whole benefit package for companies, right? From the 401k on to health benefits and all of that. Give us elaborate a little bit more on what your firm does, and then close it out with what you like everyone to know.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Today.
Well, first again, thank you for the opportunity, Deborah. I really have enjoyed this.
It's
I'm very fortunate that over the years I have built a firm that is a full service, holistic financial planning firm. So, you could say A to Z or soup to nuts, but we really focus on comprehensive financial planning. So it could be from someone that's just kind of starting out and say, hey, I need help with budgeting, I need help with reducing debt, to someone that's like, look, I'm preparing for retirement and I have a lot of questions. Will I outlive my money? When do I start Social Security? What do I do about long-term care? What about transferring wealth to the next generation? Those are all things that my company can handle, and we've been doing that for about 25 years. The thing that I'd like to leave your audience with, particularly around the topic that we talked about today, is if they are a small business and they are having trouble attracting and retaining employees, or maybe that's not their issue, but they just want to enhance the benefit package that they're providing, and or they want to save money. They want to start controlling costs. That would be a great person to kind of reach out to me. I would love to spend some time talking with them, finding out a little bit more about their company, and just seeing if we have a basis for doing business together, see if it's something that I can help them with.
That makes sense. Well, again, thank you so much for your time. We value your time. We know how busy you are. And I'm so proud to know you, and so grateful to know you, and to be able to call you a friend. And yes, indeed, my sister. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us today. And I want to say thank you to our audience for joining us here on Wealthy Sisters Radio with The View. And I'm super excited. Every week I get more super excited. But next week, I'm telling you, we have an incredible woman that's going to be on. Check this visual out. This sister that's going to be on with us next week, when I tell you, get ready. She has lived, literally, she was from here, grew up all over the continent of Africa, and her story is super incredible. She has a farm in Zimbabwe. She does so many, and she educated at Oxford. I tell you, you want to be here next week to see and to hear from our sister Ayana Namayas, and we're looking forward to that interview. So again, I want to wish each and every one of you the best of everything great. Again, thank you for joining us here at Wealthy Sisters Radio with The View.
This has been another episode of Wealthy Sisters Radio. Thank you for joining us. Catch the full hour encore Thursdays 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern and 24/7 at wealthysistersradio.com. The opinions of our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of our hosts, staff, or partners of Wealthy Sisters Radio.